and welcome back. Happy New Year to all of those that are watching this on the 1st when I release it. Hopefully you all had a fantastic celebration with your family, and then let's roll on 2023. There should be plenty in store for the cryptocurrency markets and of course our beloved HBAR. This video is going to be a Hedera 2022 recap. I'm going to be looking through all the various different things that we'd seen be built over the course of 2022, as actually when we cast our minds back to the beginning of the year through to the end of the year, there was a ton of different developments that many people would take for granted, even if you were trying to keep up with the news. I released over 200 videos throughout the course of 2022, so props to majority of you guys that continued watching all of those, and majority of them were heavily focused on Hedera and the things that were being built, so let's cover some of that. Firstly though, let's talk about the elephant in the room, and that is of course the price of the Hedera token. So we can see we are sub 4 cents currently, 0.037 cents or 3.7 cents we're currently stuck at. If we do look at the USD chart of Hedera over the all time frame, we can see obviously we hit that massive spike at the end of 2021 where we were pushing sort of 50 cents roughly. And of course we are well away from that as we currently sit. In fact, if I move this to the 1 year low high, we can see we're right at the bottom. So probably like a 90 something percent drop from that all time high that we'd previously seen. That being said, of course, this is a fantastic opportunity to lower your average buy-in price if you did buy at those high levels. At the moment, I am still massively building my Hedera bags. I'm sitting on an awful lot of Hedera. Many of you that have been watching these videos frequently know that I am a long-term holder and that I continue to average into these positions throughout the long term, no matter whether it's on the highs or on the lows. I'm just continually buying, if not even more, at a heavily discounted rate that we're currently sat at. Now, in terms of 2023 and the price that we could expect going forward, majority of that is going to be down to those enterprise use cases, as well as how the cryptocurrency market performs overall. Majority of the assets within the cryptocurrency space are of course heavily correlated to one another, and we've got the first movers like Bitcoin, for example, that really do spearhead the direction of the markets. And then let's not forget the fact that Bitcoin is heavily correlated with major equity indexes such as the S&P 500. 2022 saw record lows for the S&P 500 drawdowns since I think it was 2008. So worst performance in about 14 years for the equities markets. And of course, we've had a similarly bad year in cryptocurrencies. Potentially that could all turn around in 2023. Of course, majority of my sort of belief is on the macro side, and we won't really know until the end of Q1 of 2023 as to what will be happening with those interest rates. I've got previous videos talking about those different cycles and why the Fed at the moment is looming large over the majority of the markets. So hopefully that gives you a bit of perspective on what's been happening with Hedera's price and the cryptocurrency market prices. And of course, you can check out those previous videos. Before I jump into the 2022 recap though, let's take a quick look at the Hedera timeline for Q1 of 2023. So this is obviously spanning the first 3 months of the year. What we can see at the moment is they've got a performance and scale objective. So NFTs on the virtual Merkle improve the network scale and enable support for theoretically unlimited NFTs by adopting the Merkle structure. So there's some different improvements there for NFTs on the virtual Merkle. We've got hips and features, multi-token standard. They want to enable additional behaviors and capabilities in the Hedera token service, or HTS, to natively support use cases from ESG. So obviously that's carbon offsetting, finance, gaming, securitization, etc. And that is the Hedera improvement proposal 4.1.0. You've then got further decentralization via staking optimizations on the roadmap. So enhancement to the Hedera native staking functionality to support dynamic consensus weightings. And then finally, smart contracts to round off Q1, which is the Solidity verification process. Allow dApps to upload the Solidity code to HashScan and receive a verification against the deployed bytecode, allowing the community to view the solidity of deployed smart contracts. So we can see here really in Q1 of 2023 is just some different quality of life improvements for Hedera Hashgraph. And then again, to further increase that exposure going out for use cases, which we can see really is under this multiple token standard to natively support additional use cases from ESG, finance, gaming, and securitization. That for me is probably one of the biggest things in the roadmap for Q1 of 2023. Of course, I will have different videos out along as this timeline continues to progress and we see updates to the main node. Right then, let's look at this 2022 recap, because as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, there was a ton of different stuff that took place. HASHPACK actually released a sort of 2022 overview, and it is quite succinct, so I thought I'd run through this and give my thoughts on and opinions as we go through. We're overwhelmed by the amazing support of the Hedera community. Let's take a look at some of the highlights as we welcome in the new year. Strap yourself in. So right on the heels of the launch of our NFT gallery at the end of 2021, so that's right, there wasn't even NFT galleries available within wallets up until the end of 2021, beginning of 2022. We took the Hedera NFT community by storm with our secure trade service. So of course, many of you should be familiar with the ability, particularly if you guys sit within different Discord servers, to sort of facilitate a secure trade function via HASHPACK to send NFTs to one another at an agreed price. In the first month after launching, we saw over 1 million HBAR in trades, and in Q1 of 2023, we'll be revamping our secure trade features. So we can see there'll be some updates happening to HASHPACK for the secure trade. Shortly after that, so moving into 2022, HashConnect was released, our open sourced wallet signing solution, which enabled users to interact securely with decentralized applications and smart contracts while keeping your private keys secure. Then out of nowhere, ZUSE Marketplace announced their launch, complete with the HashConnect integration. So this really was the underpinnings of majority of the decentralized applications and the DeFi scene that later came in the year to take place via HashConnect, which obviously enabled your wallets to actually connect with those decentralized applications in a very secure manner. From there, the NFT space then has only blossomed with marketplaces and launchpads such as HashGuild, HashAxis, 𝗟𝗚𝗏𝗦, I'm sure many of you are familiar with that if you've done any mints, Hedera Tools, Hedera Sentient, and NFT Tier Tech, which of course is a great utility in order to check the rarity based on their different algorithms for mass mints, offering platforms for the community. HASHPACK CEO as well, May, spearheaded the effort to update the NFT metadata standards in HIP 10 to make them more robust, flexible, and adaptable to the evolving NFT space. She also wrote HIP 331, making it easier for apps to get the list of NFTs associated with an account. And of course, there are several different tools which will now show you your different accounts. We've got some new explorers that came to light, such as HashScan, and many others that got integrated into the wallets. They also consulted with LG Electronics. This was one of the first sort of major sort of corporate use cases of Hedera that we really saw, and they used HashPack as their wallet to present NFT certificates to their employees in an internal reward ceremony. Later in the year, ServiceNow, as well, which is another governing council member, also integrated HashPack for their customer loyalty program. Of course, can't forget HBAR Foundation as well, who generously provided grants, allowing us to accelerate development within the space. More collaborations started emerging with SAUCERSWAP Labs, Hashport Network, and Hedera HBAR announcing the development of their applications. Of course, yeah, the HBAR Foundation is something here to really focus on as well. Actually, if I flick across and I'll dig out infographic I did for people over on Twitter, but the HBAR Foundation had an incredibly generous number of different development funds in order to allocate to different developers building on Hedera, of course, to sort of beef up those use cases and sort of incentivize people to try out Hedera Hashgraph in order to migrate either existing projects or create new ones on the mainnet. I'll quickly dig out that infographic just to show you the scale of the HBAR Foundation's involvement throughout 2022. Here we go. So I managed to dig it out. This was back on the 5th of March 2022. Seems like a lifetime ago. Development funds are pools of financial capital to support ecosystem growth. The HBAR Foundation has a development fund that is 2,790.17% larger than the average in descending order. You've got the HBAR at 5 billion. You've got Algorand at a measly 300 million in comparison. You've got Phantom at $220 million, Avalanche at 180 million, Ethereum at 160 million, Solana at $150 million. You've got Polygon Matic at 100 million, and then you've got Cardano as well at $100 million. So you can see the sheer scale of input and assistance the HBAR Foundation has had, and obviously using a lot of those tokens that were set aside by the by Hedera and the sort of SWORLDs and the governing council to develop the ecosystem throughout 2022. I'd like to see some updated statistics actually from the HBAR Foundation in terms of how much of this fund has been allocated and what will also be happening in 2023. But one thing is for certain, we sure do know that that fund was put to good use, because we have seen incredible developments over the last year or so when it comes to Hedera and the different teams that have been working on the infrastructure behind the scenes. Flicking back then, let's continue walking through this HashPack thread. By April the 12th, our integration with Hedera HBAR had enabled over 100 million HBAR staked. On April the 14th, that was 200 million. And of course, the milestone was hit for that. On the 17th of May, there was a staggering 500 million HBAR being staked on the Hedera platform. And hopefully you guys as well were around for that ride. Of course, I've had several different interviews with 𝗟𝗚𝗡𝗦 and the team from Hedera, and they've gone from strength to strength in terms of building up the community. We've had several different discussions. I urge you guys to check those videos out to learn a little bit more about how Hedera operates, their sort of how they've been working with the HBAR Foundation. But they really did kickstart that retail adoption because it gave the incentive for before native staking took place on the network. So for those of you that weren't aware at the time, there was the incentive from the HBAR Foundation via emissions, which were effectively generating those yields that you would have seen through the Hedera platform. Again, I had tons of videos talking about this on the channel. Here I did some different tweets, some revised graphs, etc. So a revised graph, the cleaner scale depicting the relationship between Hedera HBAR's liquid staking return and the total value locked. This uses a modeled TVL growth rate to give a visual understanding of what the rate will do over time as the TVL grows. And in short, effectively, as the total value lock continues to increase on Hedera, of course, those emissions are being divvied up between more and more amounts of HBAR, which therefore means that APY drops. And when we saw phase 1 actually release, we saw rates of over 100% APY. We then moved into phase 2, which of course saw the rate drop, but then the emissions increased again. So we saw around 80 to 90% APY at the top, and then at the bottom of phase 2, we saw around 50%. Again, this went back up, pushed us back up to sort of 80, 90%. And then, of course, as time has gone on and the total value locked of HBAR has continued to increase across the network, we have seen that APY drop down to a more respectable sort of 9%, I believe, from memory of where this is currently sitting. And then, of course, I'll jump onto it later in the video, but of course, we do have native staking as well now. So that was a quick recap of Hedera and of course them helping to kickstart decentralized finance on Hedera in obviously partnership with the HBAR Foundation, sort of reward emissions. As summer came around though, we did see the rise of NFTs and the infamous trending hashtag of HEDERAHEATWAVE. I'm sure many of you guys were seeing that bounce around on Twitter. I myself as well was helping to join in with the fun of promoting lots of these different NFT projects because of course they were again helping to build the infrastructure behind the scenes, work out and iron out different kinks within different decentralized applications, as well as drum up support on the socials for Hedera Hashgraph. In June, Hedera did make an impressive showing at the NFT NYC 2022, showcasing their marketing might with huge animated boards all across Times Square. We can see there hedera.com/NFT, and many people are getting involved in this. During this heatwave, HASHPACK partnered with LedgerWorks, who provide enterprise-grade mirror node infrastructure for HASHPACK and are the secret behind our wallet's high performance. And of course, as well, we must mention here, majority of the guys behind the scenes, I know Pluto is one of the key developers over there as well, always tirelessly working to improve different minting operations that took place. Mint after mint, I would see them talking about releasing new patch fixes or hot fixes to their wallet infrastructure behind the scenes, because to stop bots on these different mints and to stop timeouts and too many people trying to execute a smart contract at the same time. There was so much going on behind the scenes, and these NFT collections as well were really helping to drive sort of the security and sustainability of these different wallet infrastructures that we do now have effectively, and going forward as well, I'm sure that will continue. After months of working together behind the scenes, we successfully coordinated the launch of native staking with Swirled Labs. So of course we had Hedera release first with their HBARX token, liquid staking token, which of course is still incredibly valid. Again, check out my videos which explains why. But then we had Swirlds actually go and release and agree with the governing council of native staking, which of course you can do directly from within your HASHPACK wallet, and of course the other wallets as well on Hedera. I do have videos on the channel showing you guys how to natively stake. This was a major milestone though for Hedera's roadmap towards decentralization, and it was key for us to support this feature on day one. Next, of course, we saw DeFi explode on Hedera. So obviously SaucerSwap Labs did release prior to native staking going live, but the integration with SaucerSwap Labs saw an incredible $13 million of TVL in the first week alone. Shortly after SaucerSwap's release as well, HeliSwap's DEX launched their platform with a further 6.7 million in TVL. So we've seen the total value locked growing, and of course SaucerSwap as well has gone from strength to strength in building the infrastructure behind the scenes with their different smart contracts and forks of Uniswap have been incredibly successful. And of course, we've still got other DEXs as well. We've got HBAR Suite, which are of course smart node based, which takes full advantage of the HTS and HCS native to Hedera instead of smart contracts. So that's something exciting to still see go live. The next thing as well that we've seen HASHPACK do throughout the year is of course on-ramps and off-ramps for USDC and sort of HBAR natively into Hedera. So the BANXA official and MOONPAY integrations offer was an easy way for users to buy HBAR and USDC and further accelerate the pace of DeFi on Hedera. So of course you could buy HBAR directly from within your Hedera wallets, your HASHPACK wallet, instead of having to use a centralized exchange if you wanted to. Of course, this came with some associated fees, but nevertheless, it reduces barriers to entry and lowers the friction of retail investors getting involved with Hedera. In autumn, they then launched their Android app on the Google Play Store. This is a big step for us to be able to provide great feature functionality to mobile users and have plenty of features coming up that will further improve their user experience. So again, we then saw the migration of desktop-only applications and desktop-only wallets to then mobile-focused wallets. And of course, there are obviously other Android and iOS wallets available as well for Hedera. A few weeks later, the community was in a frenzy as .hbar usernames then went live on Hedera with domain providers Hashgraph name and web23.io. It was an interesting launch with over 10,000 domain names minted into the community's hands within the first 24 hours. So of course, we then had the domain spike as well. So like we see .ethereum domains, we do now have .hbar domains, and of course, some different projects throughout the space. Some notables obviously being the Ghost domains and the Cream domains that we've seen, and I'm sure different domains will come out in the future native to Hedera. In Q3 though, we launched two big new features for the community. The first is in wallet swaps, of course being powered by SAUCERSWAP Labs. So the newly added swap tab lets users easily swap between two tokens using SAUCERSWAP's native contracts. So of course this effectively hooked into the back end of SAUCERSWAP. So instead of having to use the SAUCERSWAP interface, you can of course use your in-wallet swap features in order to trade tokens without ever leaving HASHPACK itself. Again, this reduces some risk if people are a little bit concerned about making sure they go to the sort of correct URLs, and then decentralized app interactions as well are being reduced by, of course, staying within the wallet. Next up, our in-wallet decentralized app browser was developed to make it easy as possible for users to discover and connect to use cases launching on Hedera. Just click on dApps tab in the HASHPACK and have fun exploring. So of course they added that as well to basically a list of not guaranteed, but sort of somewhat vetted and popular decentralized applications in the community. They are just one click away from that decentralized application page from within HASHPACK directly. The final leg of the year as well, they've been working tirelessly to provide a seamless iOS mobile experience. We'd like to thank all of the testers who have provided invaluable feedback during our beta. We're excited to launch the public app in early 2023. Last but by no means least, we are proud to announce our partnership with Genfinity.io. A community outreach has always been a priority for HASHPACK. We were a sponsor and judge of the Hedera 2022 hackathon, and our community hub provides a comprehensive guide to the ecosystem. Growth has been phenomenal in 2022. We've seen HASHPACK grow to over 50,000 active users a month, with over 200,000 plus accounts created and hundreds of millions of dollars worth of HBAR held in our users' wallets. We'd like to thank the entire community for very generous support throughout the year. We have some exciting things planned for the new year, and we cannot wait to share them all with you. See you in 2023. And of course, I'd like to say thank you as well to HASHPACK's team for their continued effort and development throughout the course of 2023. 2022 has been phenomenal. And of course, I'm very much looking forward to 2023. Jumping across, actually, I just wanted to talk about, there's a lot of mention of TVL there. Jumping across to DeFi Llama and looking on the chains view, we can actually see now Hedera sits at number 44 out of all the different chains that currently exist within the cryptocurrency sphere. And of course, there are literally hundreds, if not thousands of them. So an impressive number, nevertheless, in terms of total value locked. So if we jump across, we've got $23.7 million in total value locked. And that doesn't actually include the additional $49 million of liquid staking locked in HBARX tokens. So if we roughly sum those together, we're looking at, what is that, 74, let's call it, million of total value locked, We are sitting somewhat off the peaks we'd seen previously, but of course, cryptocurrencies had a bit of a shaky time in the last quarter of 2022. Nevertheless, this is fantastic to see, especially considering really that's across three main decentralized applications, namely being Stader, SAUCERSWAP, and HeliSwap. I'm not sure as well whether this is now taking into account total value locked in terms of the sort of liquid in-wallet staking that takes place on Hedera, which of course is something that's very novel to many different cryptocurrencies. I've never seen staking so easily and seamlessly integrated into a wallet functionality. And of course, there are videos on my channel talking about the pros and cons of native staking on Hedera, but really the pros are outstanding. Of course, as well, one cannot mention Hedera without talking about SAUCERSWAP Labs throughout 2022. These guys have been a cornerstone of development across Hedera, and of course, them deeming themselves the price oracle for Hedera is of course very correct with their different analytics pages and really spearheading Hedera token service native tokens to be sort of pushed out and these projects to be built behind the scenes on top of the infrastructure that they've built with their decentralized application and their different features that they're beginning. At the beginning of 2022, DeFi on Hedera was not even feasible. Since then, with the launch of Smart Contract 2.0, Hedera has become a competitive network and stands to gain significant market share in 2023. Some of SAUCERSWAP's core goals for 2023 include the following: expand the moat within Hedera and cross-chain, further transparency, autonomy via governance, adapt tokenomics to current DeFi narratives, increase revenue, optimize capital efficiency, and maximize cross-chain exposure. While it is too early to announce our primary focus for 2023, we have the following items on our public roadmap. MetaMask integration, which of course will be absolutely massive in terms of, again, lowering the barriers to entry, front-end bridge integrations, website redesigns including user-tailored data, which would be fantastic to see, additional governance, more community pools, and Farms V2. Happy New Year. And again, a massive shout out to the SAUCERSWAP team for their continued efforts across 2022. It has been absolutely phenomenal. They do have a Medium article, which is a bit of a lengthy read, but it's fantastic to talk about what they've actually done. I will link this down in the description, but I want to quickly run through their 2022 retrospective as it quite nicely encapsulates the journey throughout 2022 of DeFi on Hedera. So of course, they started off the year with their Plank Epoch NFT sale and the Source TGE. They then had an audit of all the smart contracts by HACN. The HBAR Foundation partnership and grant took place, committed to a bi-weekly Ask Me Anything schedule, the launch of AMM or Auto Market Maker Protocol and yield farms, open source their core and farm contracts, integrated price feeds for HTS tokens in HASHPACK. Of course, that wasn't there before as well. Analytics for tokens and pools, improvements to front and back end infrastructure. They powered it in wallet swaps for HASHPACK, centralized exchange listings on Nexi Global for the Source token, Source token being bridgeable to Ethereum, Polygon, BNB Chain, and Avalanche. Source as a method of payment on Hedera Sentient, Marketplace, and Launchpad. Strategic partnerships and formation of the Hedera DeFi Alliance with Headstarter and Stader Hedera. Implementation of the Sentinel program with Headstarter to obviously monitor and vet different Hedera token service tokens that want to launch and integrate themselves within different elements of DeFi. Listed on data aggregators such as DeFi Llama, CoinGecko, CoinMarketCap, and DAPP Radar. Migration to wrapped HBAR V2 to leverage native staking. Launch of Source single-sided staking and the X-Source token. Having a community that grew to over 25,000 plus members across all socials, streamlined token listing process and classification system. They of course expanded the team. They migrated to LedgerWorks, Sentinel, and decentralized exchange integration on CoinGecko. So a ton of different stuff there that took place across 2022. And seriously, DeFi would not be where it is today on Hedera if it weren't for the efforts of the SAUCERSWAP team. So a massive shout out to those guys. And I seriously look forward to what is being developed on for 2023. Of course, as well, we've seen different community-backed stuff taking place. Weekly active developers has continued to increase across the ecosystem. You've seen Hedera be featured on different social sentiment and sort of activity metrics like Lunar Crush throughout the year as well. Lots of different stuff being taken place, which of course shows how bullish people are or retail are on Hedera. And then not to mention the enterprise side as well, quietly simmering away in the background. HASHPACK as well, of course, released their Explore the Hedera community. I wanted to quickly run through this as there are some notable mentions that have been drumming up a lot of attention for Hedera Hashgraph over the course of 2022. You've got all the NFT launch pads. You've got some major NFT collections. Of course, Dead Pixels, which holds a special place in my heart, being involved with the guys, or in terms of talking about their project, I should say, early on. And I'm absolutely amazed to see how far they've come across 2022 with their different integrations. And then, of course, they've got their sort of new rewards and incentives for being part of the community on Discord. Absolutely brilliant team. Creamies as well being another one, an absolute staple of the Hedera marketplace. Well done, Monkey, for your support, I guess, for Hedera across 2022. It's been fantastic to see these different projects grow throughout the course of 2022. Hungry Baboons as well, done fantastically. Dazzle Ducks, you've got in there. Pixel Rugs, that's been around for a while. HBAR to the moon with the different coins. You've got some other projects in there as well. Hedera DeFi, SaucerSwap, Stata, Hashport, HeliSwap, HSuite, BubbleSwap, which I never spoke about. I don't think that is even really still running. You've got Hedera Gaming. We saw some major AAA announcements, as well as some non-AAA announcements for gaming. And of course, we should expect a lot to happen throughout 2023. Earthlings being one of them. You've got Lithos, Creamlands. You've got the lucky sort of gambling stuff. You've got Cybercrimes, Dropper NFT, Vavelverse, and Hederian Dragons. And then we've also got the Hedera domains, Hashgraph name, Web23. You've got Galaxy, which is building an open source, an open social marketplace for creators by creators. You've got Headstarter. Plenty of others, of course. I'll leave this link down in the description, but it's fantastic to see how many different projects that have been developed across the course of 2022. Right then, let's round up with those enterprise use cases, which of course many people are expecting and have been expecting for months and months and months at this point, and of course myself as well, doing many different videos. We got our first taster back in November. What was that? The 10th of November, of the sheer scale of transactions that we could see being processed. It did actually get into the thousands at one point from memory. And of course, that was the Avery Dennison or ad topic that we saw go through final testing. And hopefully we will see release in 2023. And that will be a major turning point, in my opinion, for adoption of Hedera, particularly on an enterprise scale. Now, if we actually talk about enterprise use cases, we had the built on Hedera Hashgraph use cases, over 200 different use cases, and we only need a small portion of these to start submitting transactions to Hedera in order to gain additional exposure. And then in turn, you may see some price movement off the back of that. But realistically, we're talking about transactions in terms of adoption rather than price action as it currently stands. Avery Dennison does appear to be one of the sort of golden geese, it would seem, for Hedera, and everyone is very excited for that to go live. I'm hoping, again, no one knows, that does happen within Q1 of 2023. That would be a fantastic start to the year. We can see that there, atma.io, Avery Dennison. Of course, we've got the Coupon Bureau as well, being another massive use case, which will process thousands, millions of transactions on an annual basis for Hedera Hashgraph. Quickly glazing across this tweet then before I round up this video, because it's nearly 30 minutes long. You see the HBAR ball here saying, looks like there's an application out there that is busy creating Hedera accounts. So again, just goes to show there could be more and more of these use cases happening behind the scenes that will be continuing to be built across 2023. And I'll be looking to cover any of these that go live, of course, in due time. Right then. Final nugget of information before I wrap up this video. We can see Paolo Tasca here, who of course is one of the founder and executive directors of the UCL CBT, co-chair of CoinCom, Hedera, and co-founded Quant as well as being a former economist. Someone said, has that announcement you teased regarding Hedera actually happened yet? Nope, but it will be announced officially in early Q1 of 2023. I'm presuming that was meant to say not 2021, because of course that is in the past. Hopefully you guys did enjoy this video. Like you see there, 2023, yes. Hopefully you guys did enjoy this video. If you did, drop a comment, leave a like if you got, leave a like, drop a comment if you got something to say. Of course, I'm always reachable over on Twitter. I do try and respond to as many of your guys' interactions as I possibly can. If you're not already subscribed, make sure you are, and make sure you've got that notification bell on for future uploads. I feel 2023 is going to be a fantastic year for Hedera, but only time will tell. Cheers.